Joy. We are going to dive into a big topic today. Sound check complete. Perfect. And now we are going to share the screen over here on the horizontal screen. You want to watch the horizontal? That'll be in my videos listed. Well, underlined. In the entire screen. Okay. Share. Now let's switch to the graph page. And now we're going to start Grago. Ready? Set. Here we go. Oh no! Just kidding. I can redo this for you if it need be. It might turn out better that way. Let's try again. No! Alright, let's check the setting real quick. I'm definitely gonna have to edit this. Did I click the audio? Also share audio tab. I wonder if that's what's making it not function. Entire screen. Click. Toggle on. Share. Perfect. Let's go to permanent Socratic peace ritual. Standing charter. Q&A show. How do dehumanization habits perpetuate conflict, and how can we transcend them for world peace? Socratic method questions on world peace. Let me see. I'm going to try one more time to get AI to read it. If it doesn't work, I will read it. It's not working. Okay, I'll just read it myself. This is going to take a hot minute. How do dehumanization habits perpetuate conflict, and how can we transcend them for world peace? Socratic method questions on world peace. This daily ritual, known as the Q&A show, serves as an autonomous peace infrastructure designed to guide collective human attention toward emotional regulation, cognitive expansion, and sustained inquiry in pursuit of world peace. Through a structured ascent from lower emotional states to higher ones, it employs the Socratic method to foster self-generated insights without lectures, judgments, or imposed conclusions. The ritual operates independently each day, selecting a structural topic related to collective suffering. Today, focusing on dehumanization habits, those ingrained patterns where individuals or groups reduce others to abstraction, stripping away shared humanity and fueling division. Hi guys, you guys are so sweet. Let's see. It's not showing the entire screen. This is glitchy until I have better software programs or subscription programs, so they stack up in price over the month. They're worth on my LinkedIn brand. Thank you. I love when they compliment me. I'm such a sucker for it, honestly. Always a big fan of words of affirmation, love language. The format consists of 24 segments counted downward from 24 to 1, while emotional altitude rises upward. It begins in the denser registers of fear, grief, despair, and powerlessness, progressing methodically through stations such as insecurity, jealousy, hatred, revenge, anger, discouragement, blame, worry, doubt, disappointment, overwhelm, frustration, pessimism, boredom, contentment, hopefulness, optimism, positive expectation, enthusiasm, passion, and culminating in joy, appreciation, empowerment, freedom, and love. Each intermediate segment 23 through 2, includes a neutral orientation to the emotional station, followed by exactly 12 Socratic questions that start within the station's perspective and gradually widen to invite greater agency, empathy, and temporal awareness, and honest self-reflection. These questions explore the day's topic neutrally, examining its structure, dynamics without personalization, dramatization, or sensationalism. Central to this practice is the principle of zero reenactment. No regressive or dehumanizing content is ever restated, quoted, or voiced, even for analysis. Transformation arises solely through inquiry, allowing insights to emerge organically within the listener. The tone remains one of calm authority, grounded realism, paired with durable optimism. That's right, durable optimism. And kindness supported by structural integrity. No user input choices or interactions are solicited. The ritual unfolds autonomously as a daily anchor for presence and coherence. It's probably just the static. I don't have a good microphone. I do have a microphone, but I don't have a good microphone, so I don't even bother starting it. It's just annoying, honestly. I wish it filtered out. Some apps don't make a weird whistling sound when you just use the phone's filter, but most of them do. YouTube does especially. Anyway, this episode emphasizes dignity and continuation, reminding participants that peace is built through repeated, disciplined attention to inner postures rather than external spectacles. As a peace practice, it invites gentle integration into daily life, perhaps through subscription for notifications, enabling comments for shared reflection, or sharing with others seeking similar expansion. By engaging regularly, individuals contribute to a broader field of emotional coherence, where habits of division give way to habits of connection. The ritual's pacing encourages spacious listening with natural pauses arising from rhythmic sentence structure, fostering a sense of trust in the nervous system over time. In alignment with the Charter's expansion for vortex sustainment, this ritual incorporates subtle media covenants to maintain upper echelons amid external influences. Approach media consumption with appreciative intent, asking what uplifts or expands empathy within it. Limit exposure to conflict framing to prevent desensitization, and frame stories as opportunities for collective love amplification. I am a tender heart, so that's definitely something I do. Visualize media as a cosmic signal, elevating its content to invite interstellar unity and solidarity, more specifically, and assuming emotional coherence draws benevolent resonances. Daily practices such as EFT tapping points, while affirming welcome for peace narratives, gratitude for harmony's flow, and love for empathetic self, reinforce this anchor. For activists, use media as a tool for empathy, questioning how each narrative broadens shared humanity without descending into lower rungs. Is the audio really bad? I'm sorry. This description reaffirms the ritual's role as civic infrastructure, permanent, self-running, and focused on ascent. No force, humiliation, or spectacle involved. Only language, inquiry, and pacing serve as the medicine. Participants are invited to return tomorrow for the next autonomous episode, building cumulative trust, cumulative trust through repetition. The structure itself cultivates presence, density invites depth over skimming, and the ascent nurtures sustained registers of empowerment and love. By prioritizing self-honesty and expanded perception, this practice supports the dissolution of structural conflicts at their emotional roots, contributing to a world where peace emerges from within. Hold on one second. Let's fix the screen sharing issue on our horizontal feed. Entire screen. Click system on. Share. And switch back to the window we want open. Okay, we just read that one. Okay, we are going to start working backwards through the emotional vibrational scale using the Socratic method to teach our minds to think about dehumanization in more and more enlightened ways. So buckle up. This is going to be a long ride. Get your drink ready. Hopefully you already have it. And here we go. Segment 24, Introductory Orientation and Community Covenant. Welcome to this daily ritual of Socratic inquiry dedicated to world peace. Our purpose is to guide collective attention through a structured emotional ascent, fostering cognitive expansion and emotional regulation in service of harmony among all beings. We affirm our covenant. There will be no reenactment of harm, no shaming of any individual or group, no declaration of enemies, and no creation of spectacles. This practice honors the inherent dignity of every listener and every life. The structure descends, numbering 24 to 1, while rising in emotional altitude, beginning in the lower registers and culminating in the sustained states of joy, appreciation, empowerment, freedom, and love. You are gently invited to subscribe for daily notifications, enable comments for shared reflections if desired, and share this practice with others who may find value in it. We now enter segment 23. We now ascend from the station of fear, grief, despair, and powerlessness. At this level, perception contracts into immediate threats and overwhelming loss, where dehumanization habits appear as inescapable survival mechanisms. Excuse me. One second. What immediate dangers do you perceive when viewing others as less than fully human? How does grief over past harms reinforce the instinct to categorize people into threats or non-entities? This is heavy. In moments of despair, what role does powerlessness play in justifying the dismissal of shared vulnerabilities? What fears arise when considering the humanity of those involved in conflict? My biggest fear is that it's not going to end, but I think humanity can get us unhappy. How might grief cloud the recognition of common suffering across divides? In this state, what assumptions about inevitability sustain dehumanizing patterns? What small agency might exist even within feelings of powerlessness to question these habits? How could extending the time horizon beyond immediate pain reveal cycles of mutual harm? What empathetic glimpse might emerge if you consider the fears driving others' actions? How honestly can you acknowledge your own contributions to these perpetual contractions? What subtle expansion occurs when pausing to breathe amid despair? We now ascend to segment 22. We now ascend from the station of insecurity, guilt, and unworthiness. At this level, perception fixates on personal deficiencies, where dehumanization habits serve as defenses against inner turmoil. What insecurities prompt the reduction of others to simplify one's own sense of worth? What insecurities prompt the reduction of others to simplify one's own sense of worth? That is a very excellent question. How does guilt over past actions fuel the projection of flaws onto entire groups? Wow, that's a heavy question. In feelings of unworthiness, what comfort is found in viewing others as inherently lesser? So many people feel superior. So alarming. What internal doubts reinforce the habit of denying humanity to those deemed different? How might guilt distort the view of shared human struggles? In this state, what beliefs about scarcity of value sustain these patterns? What initial agency could be claimed by examining one's own insecurities without judgment? What initial agency could be claimed by examining one's own insecurities without judgment? How does broadening the time reframe reveal the transience of such perceptions? Excellent vocabulary in here. Hold on 1 second, I'll fix this again. Entire screen. Sound. Perfect. Back to where we left off. Magic in the off. Thank you. You're so nice. I'm so sorry that the sound is so horrible. I wonder if there's something I can do to fix it midstream. I'm not even sure. No, I don't know how to fix it. Did that do anything? Hold on one second. How does broadening the time frame reveal the transience of such self-perceptions? What empathy might arise for others caught in similar cycles of unworthiness? Yeah, unworthiness is not worth spending your time feeling on the regular. You should move right away from that emotion as fast as possible if you can, and you can. It's an intentional choice to change your emotions, but it's an intentional choice you can make. How candidly can you reflect on moments when guilt has narrowed your vision? How candidly can you reflect on moments when guilt has narrowed your vision? Yeah, we have to learn to forgive ourselves and we have to learn to forgive others. It's extremely important. Forgive yourself, forgive others. Like, just don't let the emotions eat you up inside. Just let them go. And move on and move up the emotional vibrational scale, like we do with this Socratic method over time. Hopefully this slowly lifts your mood while you hang out with me. What gentle shift occurs when acknowledging insecurity as a universal experience? That is accurate. Wow, that's a great question too. Great concluding question. We now ascend to segment 21. Segment 21. We now ascend from the station of jealousy. At this level, perception narrows to comparisons of lack where dehumanization habits emerge as resentful equalizers. What lacks in your own life trigger jealousy? What lacks in your own life trigger jealousy toward others' perceived advantages? Ooh, a lot. A lot. How does envy reduce complex individuals to symbols of unfair gain? How does envy reduce complex individuals to symbols of unfair gain? So frequently. In jealous states, what justifications arise for dismissing the humanity of those envied? None. I wouldn't let myself feel that way. I think we should all strive to be self-actualized. This is not very pretty. I don't know if I can fix it. Okay, that's good enough. Oh, we need to cross our T. And we dot our I with a little heart. Okay, I wrote self-actualized. I'm going to create another task in Grok to talk about self-actualized and how we get there. That will be fun. Now I'm going to continue reading, and of course I probably forgot where I left off, so bear with me for a second while we reorient back into our reading. Okay. What comparisons fuel the habit of seeing others as obstacles rather than fellows? Oh, so much jealousy. Wow, this really is all about jealousy, isn't it? How might jealousy obscure the shared aspirations beneath surface differences? Interesting. In this frame, what scarcity mindsets perpetuate dehumanizing views? The media, the mainstream media, very scarcity mindset. Very much like the poor should have less. That's not cool. We want to uplift everyone with better nutrition in particular. Food and water need to be legally human rights for everyone on earth. How might jealousy obscure the shared aspirations beneath surface differences? In this frame, what scarcity mindsets perpetuate dehumanizing views, structural and systemic problems, and problems with governments trying to rely on non-governmental agencies like charities to do the work that quality governance should do? That's why I support the Green Party so vociferously. What agency begins when questioning the validity of these comparisons? All the agency begins when questioning the validity of these comparisons, honestly. How could extending awareness to future possibilities lessen envy's grip? What empathy develops when recognizing jealousy in others' actions? How honesty can see you trace jealous impulses to deeper needs? What expansion follows from appreciating one's own unique path? We now ascend to segment 20. Hold on one second. Pull that up. Adjust this on the horizontal feed so I can see the screen and the playback. I know I like to read the words ahead of the person reading if I can. Okay, stop sharing. Share entire screen. Click system share. And then open a window back up. Okay, segment 20. We now ascend from the station of hatred and rage. At this level, perception boils into intense opposition, where dehumanization habits solidify as righteous barriers. What triggers of hatred ignite rage towards those seen as other? Oh, we have to acknowledge the human nature of humans to deeply appreciate people who are similar to themselves. It's very, very, very much so in our human nature. How does rage simplify human complexities into targets of contempt? In hateful states, what narratives justify the erasure of shared essence? What narratives justify the erasure of shared essence in hateful states? You guys can talk in the comments if you want. That's a good question. What intensities of emotion blind one to the human? What intensities of emotion blind one to the humanity in adversaries? What intensities of emotion? Wow. I think we teach too much stoicism when we just need to embrace treating each other impeccably well by as many people as possible. Like, if you're a redneck, you're a redneck. You should still treat people especially well. And that includes voting. Like, you should vote. You should vote Green Party because they care about every generation and every human. And they know they need to govern for every human. As always, my soapbox. Vote Green Party. Please and thank you. As my mom would say. She's a peace activist now with me too. But she's not normally on video. How might rage mask underlying vulnerabilities? Well, it kind of is a bummer when people don't understand even basic psychology. We need basic psychology for all, but we need to treat people impeccably well as we get psychology to everyone. In this posture, what fixed beliefs sustained dehumanizing fury? What choice emerges to pause before rage consumes perspective? How does considering long-term consequences temper immediate hatred? Immediate hatred. Consider long-term consequences for you and for them. You want to be very respectful of people at all times, as calm as you can be, and try not to let your emotions bubble up or down to anger. Like if you're moving up from like a depressed state, like anger is a better place to be, but you want to just move through it quickly. Don't do any revenge. Stay calm. Just get your emotions up a little bit higher. But sometimes anger is a higher emotion if you were really down and depressed before. So let's continue reading. What empathy might flicker for the pain fueling others' rage? How forthrightly can you examine your own resources of hatred? What release comes from questioning rage's ultimate utility? We now ascend to segment 19. Segment 19. We now ascend from the station of revenge. At this level, perception locks into cycles of retribution where dehumanization habits justify perpetual payback. What past wrongs demand revenge as the only path to justice? I'm going to go with none. How does the drive for vengeance strip humanity from those targeted? Wow. Our politicians go above and beyond that. In vengeful mindsets, what loops reinforce the view of others as perpetual foes? Mainstream media? Algorithms? What satisfactions does revenge promise in dehumanizing exchanges? You should never seek revenge. It's not worth your time. You should just make your life better and better and better and better and better and better. And be very kind to whomever if you see them. But you don't have to get involved in talking to them. Just improve your life and improve your life and improve your life. That is better. That's what you should strive for. You should never seek revenge. You should just move through that emotion as fast as possible. How might revenge obscure opportunities for mutual healing? Wow. In this cycle, what assumptions about permanence fuel ongoing harm? What agency arises in choosing to interrupt retributive impulses? How could a longer view reveal revenge's role in prolonging suffering? What empathy emerges when considering the revenge cycles in others? So very many. I feel so much empathy for so many people. Maybe you do too. I always feel empathy for people. It's hard not to. And I feel guilty if I don't stay somewhat up to date on the news. But I don't watch mainstream media news. I can't handle it. They're not doing good by humanity. I watch a lot of alternative news here on YouTube. A lot. How could a longer view reveal revenge's role in prolonging suffering? Like the Green Party always points to the Native American principle of, taking care of society always for 7 generations ahead. But we always need to think farther than 7 generations ahead because, we live on a finite planet with finite resources as far as we know. But right now, we're not traveling to other planets and trucking in supplies, as Abraham Hicks would say. And we just don't need to waste any metal on planned obsolescence to fuel billionaires' space travel adventures. That's just silly. Anyway, what empathy emerges from when considering the revenge cycles in others? So very many. How openly can you assess revenge's costs to your own peace? In retrospect, very well. Very, very well. What alternative paths open beyond the pull of payback? We now ascend to segment 18. Segment 18. We now ascend from the station of anger. At this level, perception sharpens into defensive assertion, where dehumanization habits act as shields against perceived sights. What frustrations spark anger toward those deemed responsible? How does anger reduce nuanced interactions to battles of will? That's a good question. How does anger reduce nuanced interactions to battles of will? In angry states, what quick judgments deny the full humanity of others? What boundaries does anger enforce through dehumanizing labels? How might anger signal unmet needs rather than inherent flaws in others? In this intensity, what reactive patterns sustain division? What control can be exercised by breathing into anger's roots? How does expanding the timeline soften anger's immediate demands? What understanding grows when empathizing with others' anger? What clarity follows from channeling anger toward constructive change? We now ascend to segment 17. We now ascend from the station of discouragement. At this level, perception dims into resignation, where dehumanization habits persist as weary defaults. Hello, America. Ugh. I'm ready for peace in the Middle East, that's for sure. What setbacks breed discouragement in viewing human connections? How does discouragement dull the recognition of shared potential? In discouraged frames, what apathy allows dehumanizing routines to continue? What hopes fade when others are seen through lenses of futility? How might discouragement overlook small acts of humanity? In this weariness, what defeatist beliefs entrench separation? What spark of agency rekindles effort to question these views? How could a broader historical perspective renew faith in change? What empathy revives when noting discouragement in collective stories? How sincerely can you confront your own discouraged assumptions? How sincerely can you confront your own discouraged assumptions? What gentle persistence emerges from acknowledging progress? I think people feel the need to continue improving when you say they've come a long way. Like, as a barely mixed woman, but a mixed woman nonetheless. Like, I have been around white people my whole life. I had a very white Wonder Bread upbringing, to say the least. And white people have come so far, and I still hear them, and they still have so far to come. And I root for the best, because I'm mostly white, and I would rather be like not ashamed of that ever. But unfortunately, people don't want reparations enough, and we just have to change that. We just have to change that, because reparations are due. Let's continue. Where did I leave off? I think it was segment 16. Yeah, we now ascend to segment 16. Segment 16. We now ascend from the station of blame. At this level, perception assigns fault externally, where dehumanization habits deflect responsibility. Let me read that again. We now ascend from the station of blame. At this level, perception assigns fault externally, where dehumanization habits deflect responsibility. That sounds terrible. What events prompt blame toward others for collective woes? How does blame simplify human agency into villainy? Villainy? I'm not certain. We need a button to pronounce words when we're reading talk to text and maybe define them too. In blaming postures, what conveniences arise from dehumanizing culprits? In blaming postures, what conveniences arise from dehumanizing culprits? Just all the ease of the past when people felt so easy being not the least racist person around, unfortunately. Like now we all like hope to be as little racist as possible. For the most part, except for gobs of people. Anyway, it's way too many. But I feel like more people want to be good people. By far. And I feel like we try to. You need to control like the thoughts in your mind that you have about whomever you judge. And just try to let those thoughts go when they bubble up and not attach to them, not focus on them, not speak them aloud, not give them any power or attention to the greatest degree that you are capable. Like sometimes you just have to vent and understand that, but just vent to only someone who can take it. And keep it private as well. What accusations mask the interconnected nature of conflicts? How might blame evade personal roles in structural patterns? In this attribution, what fixed narratives hinder resolution? Fixed narratives. I think there's fixed fears that hinder resolution quite a lot. What ownership begins when shifting from blame to inquiry? That's what I'm looking for in society, a giant shift from blame to inquiry. This is excellent. I like this. How does a wider temporal lens distribute accountability more evenly? What compassion arises for those burdened by blame? A lot is necessary. We need to rehabilitate people. Like, we need to reduce incarceration rates in America. We really, really do. And we need to treat people who are in jail and in prison far better than we do. We need to truly educate people and make high quality videos that teach the importance of things like don't get a DUI and things of that nature. Like important things for the world, for humanity, for all. For people in jail too. How does a wider temporal lens distribute accountability more evenly? Yeah, you have to think like a teacher. Like, you have to think of all people. Like, if you're a content creator, you have to think of all people that watch you, and you can't alienate any of them. And, like, the platforms don't like you alienating you. You really have to be a kind person to be a content creator. And it's remarkably hard because people are not remarkably kind to you necessarily. I don't get a lot of people bothering me. I don't know why. But I've had my share. That's for sure. Okay. How candidly can you explore blame's protective function? If I blame someone else, then I don't have to change my behavior. Kind of simple. What balance restores when releasing blame's grip? It feels a lot better not to point fingers at people and not to blame yourself for things that you can't control anymore anyway either. We now ascend to segment 15. Segment 15, we now ascend from the station of worry. At this level, perception anticipates threats, where dehumanization habits prepare for worst-case divisions. What uncertainties fuel worry about others' intentions? We don't know what other people's intentions are, and do they have good intent. We really need universal pre-K so we can teach all children to have excellent communication skills. Very empathetic. We need empathy programs for all of our children, especially boys. But all the children. What uncertainties fuel worry about others' intentions? How does worry project dehumanizing scenarios onto future interactions? How does worry project dehumanizing scenarios onto future interactions? In worried states, what precautions reduce people to potential risks? Precautions. Systemic precautions of not thinking that it's acceptable for people to have the level of emotions people actually have about the state of the world, and just current affairs in life right now in this dystopian time. It feels so reminiscent of the book 1984. How might worry distract from present moments of connection? In this anticipation, what speculative fears sustain isolation? What presence can be cultivated to ease worry's load? Breathing practices create presence. We should always defer to breathing practices in every moment. Breathe in. Breathe out. All the time. What presence can be cultivated to ease worry's hold? How could extending trust over time dissolve anxious projections? Extending trust. People appreciate trust, especially men. What empathy builds when recognizing universal worries? How honestly can you discern worry's factual basis? What calm follows when focusing on controllable actions? We now ascend to segment 14. Segment 14, we now ascend from the station of doubt. At this level, perception questions possibilities, where dehumanization habits linger in skepticism. What uncertainties breed doubt in humanity's capacity for unity and solidarity? We have so much capacity. We're so capable as humans. We have human ingenuity. We need epic amounts of human ingenuity on epic scales daily for quantum leaps in our thinking about how the world should be versus how the world actually is, and the stories we've been told that we can't improve better than we can, because we can improve better than previously done by the systems of governance and current systems governance. We can get so much faster, so much better when we try and we work together and we make demands of government. Non-violent demands, but demands. Demands for change. Like voting Green Party. What empathy builds when recognizing universal worries? Yes, people everywhere worry, and they have similar worries. We worry about meeting our basic needs and the needs of our digital times. Like, we need a digital bill of rights to protect our privacy and our rights online, and not leave everything up to social media companies to decide to such an extreme degree how people's lives should actually be going. How honestly can you discern worry's factual basis? How honestly can you discern worry's factual basis? Interesting. With the help of AI pointing us back to paying attention to what matters most, would probably work well for a lot of people. What calm follows from focusing on controllable actions? What calm follows from focusing on controllable actions? When you feel like you have contributions to make towards bettering a situation, that's such a better place to be in. We now ascend to segment 14. Segment 14. We now ascend from the station of doubt. At this level, perception questions possibilities, where dehumanization habits linger in skepticism. What uncertainties breed doubt in humanity's capacity for unity and solidarity? How does doubt undermine efforts to see shared essence? Doubt is not my favorite emotion. When doubtful thoughts creep up, I try to let the feeling go, and I definitely try to send the thoughts a packing. I try not to let thoughts I don't like into my mind. You have to think about the way you think. If you want to control your life in any way, you have to think about the way you think and control your mind the way you want it. And that's how you get to more inner peace. That's how you get to self-actualization. That's how you get to a better feeling mood. And you want to be in a better feeling mood at all points in time. Because when you're in a better feeling mood, that's how you get to reaching for and 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 reaching for other bigger, better moods. That feels so good inside that you will start using the law of attraction on accident to attract all kinds of wonderful things to yourself. I don't know why it works. It just does. And it's weird. It's weird. And it's weird to talk about. But apparently it's okay to talk about the law of attraction. So here we are doing so. In doubtful frames, what hesitations preserve dehumanizing distances? How are you gonna pay for that? That's the standard question, to just distance others. Like, you could never change up the entire world economy. That's a foolish thought. Money is a collective agreement we all agree to. So we could change the structure of the economy worldwide. And frankly, mathematicians love math, and money moguls love money, but we have to get the basic needs of everyone met. That's extremely important. Extremely, extremely important. How might doubt serve as a call for deeper examination? In this uncertainty, what self-fulfilling prophecies entrench habits? What confidence emerges from testing small assumptions? The confidence to change. I always believe in self-improvement. I know that sounds like hocus pocus and mumbo jumbo. It's not. You can work on yourself for life. That's the best thing you can do for yourself. That's the best thing you can do for others. So, challenge assumptions. Test small assumptions. Confidence will emerge. The implication here. How does a longer view accumulate evidence of human resilience? What understanding grows when empathizing with others' doubts? How forthrightly can you challenge your own skeptical biases? What openness invites when doubt transforms into curiosity? We now ascend to segment 13. Segment 13. We now ascend from the station of disappointment. At this level, perception registers unmet expectations where dehumanization habits arise from letdowns. What failed hopes lead to disappointment in human behaviors? How does disappointment color others with shades of unreliability? How does disappointment color others with shades of unreliability? Right. We have to return our trust to people even after they hurt us sometimes, because life requires community, and you have to just be with friends and family, and you cannot hold every little grudge against everyone. I see so many AI canned responses like block, 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 block. And I'm like, do we have to block everyone all the time? Or can we just improve our lives and how we treat people? And improve how everyone treats everyone? That would be far more ideal. In disappointed states, what withdraws reinforce dehumanizing walls? What ideals clash with the reality of complex humanity? Unity. AI always pushes unity, and I am always all about solidarity, because solidarity is so much more complex. It's accepting the pluralism of everyone. That's very important. How might disappointment reveal mismatched assumptions? That's an incredible question. How might disappointment reveal mismatched assumptions? In this letdown, what patterns of expectation perpetuate cycles? What adjustment begins by reevaluating personal standards? That's something we should all do. How could time heal disappointments through accumulated insights? Lots of education. Just a distraction, really. Like, fake it till you make it. Fake it like you're happy and bury yourself in learning so you can contribute to others with your life. It's a very idealistic thing to do, and it's a very, very wonderful thing to do as well. Become a peace activist today and forevermore, please. Recruit other people into peace activism is your biggest goal for life. You didn't know you wanted to be a peace activist, and now you're thinking about it. Thank you. I appreciate you. What empathy softens when sharing in collective disappointments? Boy, I do not like when celebrities pass away. I wish we could keep all humans on Earth alive for their entire natural lifetimes so very frequently. So very frequently. How openly can you reflect on disappointment's lessons? No, not easily. It hurts. It hurts my heart. I've disappointed myself in life. I mean, I'm a pretty happy person, though, honestly, given the circumstances. But it's crazy the things I think about. Not crazy, just like, I think in so many directions all the time. About society, about life, about how life should be versus how life is. What renewal follows from embracing imperfection? A lot. Like, I've given myself permission to live with my own imperfection, because you are enough, and what you're doing is enough. And Other people can accept you for who you are. You don't have to change for other people. You should want to better yourself, for yourself, and for others, and for the whole world, and for world peace. It's a shared mission we're all on together. But don't beat yourself up over anything. It's not worth your time. You matter so much to yourself. You're the only person you really have to rely on. You cannot push your whole life and all your goals and hopes and dreams onto others. You have to live your own life. So embrace imperfections and see if renewal follows. We now ascend to segment 12. Segment 12. We now ascend from the station of overwhelm. At this level, perception floods with complexity, where dehumanization habits simplify chaos. What volumes of information overwhelm the capacity for nuanced views? How does overwhelm reduce diverse humans to manageable categories? In overwhelmed states, what shortcuts dismiss individual stories? What pressures amplify the urge to dehumanize for control? What pressures amplify the urge to dehumanize for control? My dimpled earlobe itches sometimes. Have you guys seen Danny Green on No Fouls Given? He's got a dimpled earlobe also. I didn't know that. Like, I've loved him since he was a Tar Heel. From, I think, 2005? Something like that. He just has one of those lovable faces. But he also has a cute little dimpled earlobe. You should check it out sometime. No Fouls Given on YouTube. It's a great podcast. I love basketball podcasts. How does overwhelm reduce diverse humans to manageable categories? Are they manageable? In overwhelmed states, what shortcuts dismiss individual stories? All the shortcuts. We have to acknowledge the nuance that is each individual human. Each individual human is so complex. What pressures amplify the urge to dehumanize for control? How might overwhelm signal a need for prioritized focus? In this deluge, what avoidance mechanisms sustain habits? People avoid conversations about race relations because it requires shutting up and listening often. That's not acceptable. We just have to shut up and listen. What clarity arises from breaking overwhelm into smaller inquiries? Clarity rises, yes. The Getting Things Done system by David Allen, I think it is. That's the author. He wrote a book about it, the Getting Things Done system. And we just need that for the entire world, for world peace. For all the problems that contribute to lack of world peace, which is quite a bit. World peace really is rather multifaceted. How does a broader timeline distribute burdens more manageably? We should not move too slow. We should move faster than we have ever governed previously, so that we're actually governing in real time instead of for yesteryear in our country, maybe in the world. But like, how do you get benevolent people in charge of government worldwide? I'm not really sure, but I hope to figure it out. with the help of everyone on earth. Quite frankly, we all need to work towards world peace consistently and constantly. What connection forms when empathizing with shared overwhelm? A lot. Like world peace, or just the notion of becoming a world peace activist, can be quite overwhelming. But you can do it. I did. I decided, like midlife, I was like, I am definitely a peace activist. Like I had never considered myself an activist, but I always had been pushing off activism. Like I will get to focusing on world peace after I have children. And like I did, but like that's too late. You should focus on world peace for your entire life, no matter what your age is. Now that you know, it's a great thought to have, and it's a great practice to take up. We now ascend to segment 11. Oh wait, did I forget this one? What space opens up when pacing oneself and amid complexity? That's right, we always have to remember self-care. Like I'll say you should be an activist 24/7, 365. But what I'm really saying is take care of yourself, take care of your family, take care of your personal responsibility needs and your financial needs, and try to find time to do activism too. I'm not saying do the reverse, but you can weave activism into your regular life as a peace activist. Constantly recruiting people, constantly having conversations about, oh, I'm a peace activist. Oh, I went and did this peace activity. Whatever way you can contribute to world peace. I know I contribute mostly online, but I hope to change that because act local, think global. Like we have to think about the world in its entirety if we want to improve the world in its entirety. And we have to encourage local activism in every locale on earth. So we're like taking the best charities from around the world and scaling them up and scaling them up and scaling them up and adding more and adding more and making what all the best charities are doing like the law of the land. Like treat people with great benevolence. We now ascend to segment 11. Segment 11, we now ascend from the station of frustration, irritation, and impatience. At this level, perception chafes against delays where dehumanization habits express as dismissals. What obstacles spark frustration with others' paces? Wow. That's amazing. Yeah, I have had people get frustrated with me for talking fast, and honestly, I get frustrated with people talking slow or just walking slow. I walk slow, and people don't enjoy that, especially when they have long legs and they walk fast. But I do the best I can. I just have a slow gait. It's just kind of how I walk. Not really in a hurry. Don't like shin splints. How does irritation shortcut empathy into impatience? Irritation to impatience, yes. Probably a lot of attitude will come through with that as well. You just got to move out of your frustrated state, out of your irritated state as fast as you can. And if you can't, just take solace alone. If you can. If you can. Hey, maybe you can't. Or maybe you do better around people instead of with solace. I'm an introvert, so I love solace. I love to be alone. I love cuddling more than I love being alone, though. I'm a big fan of cuddling, but the right people. Person. In frustrated states, what annoyances dehumanize those involved? Like our ego's irritation, that we have expectations that they should be doing something our way or faster or whatever. What urgencies demand immediate resolutions over understanding? Basic human needs, and especially the most basic human wants, especially as well, need to be addressed. How might frustration highlight areas for personal patience? In this agitation, what reactive impulses deepen divides? We should be calm. It's important to remain calm frequently. What calm intervenes by breathing through irritation? How could extending timelines foster tolerance for processes? I think we need to speed world peace up, honestly. How candidly can you trace impatience to inner expectations? We just touched on this so very frequently. So very frequently. What flow emerges from accepting varied rhythms? Oh, I love flow. Flow states are what we're looking to aim to achieve here. We now ascend to segment 10. Segment 10. We now ascend from the station of pessimism. At this level, perception anticipates decline, where dehumanization habits resign to inevitable rifts. What patterns foster pessimism about bridging human divides? Fostering pessimism about human divides. Watching mainstream media. Watching Hollywood movies. Don't foster pessimism. Turn your attention to things you actually want in the world. Turn your attention to things that should actually exist in the world. And then create them. Act local. Think global. You're now a peace activist. Right? You should be. For real. No matter what your stance is. If you're conservative or if you're a far leftist like me. But I'm a far leftist extremely invested in nonviolence. Honestly. What urgencies demand resolutions over understanding? Safety issues. That's the biggest one. Safety first. Always safety first. And like, politicians aren't even putting the safety of Americans first, let alone the people of the earth. And like, we need to put the safety of everyone on earth as a priority. That's not to say women shouldn't have abortion rights. They should. Especially given the current conditions. However, it's not a likable thing in particular. It's extremely important medically, though. We don't want American women dying from sepsis because they were forced to be pregnant at all. I mean, it's bonkers what people will do to women for power and control. I always have a negative opinion of Republicans and Democrats both. They're too bipartisan all the time. Anyway. In this agitation, what reactive impulses deepen divides? Reactive impulses deepen divides. Just believing that the thought patterns that you've absorbed from other people, like other people's opinions, you don't have to keep them for yourself. Like, you can just move on from them. Don't keep people's negative opinions. Like, if you have an opinion, like, if I say, Rolls-Royce is my favorite by far. Like, and you want to absorb that opinion, like, good on you. You can have my opinion. We can share my opinion. I have so many opinions about everything under the sun. And I think my opinion that Rolls-Royce is the best is definitely the best opinion. But to copy somebody's negative thought patterns, that's not useful. What rapport builds when empathizing with others' frustrations? This is a very good question. This is leading us into feeling better. Finally. I really like feeling better. And I like this process of teaching us how to reach for better feeling thoughts and better feeling thoughts and better feeling thoughts and better. Good, better, best. Never let it rest. Until your good is better and your better best. Your best thoughts matter. So write them down. Yeah, always improve your thoughts. That's how you end up feeling better, and that's how you end up getting more of what you want. So always try to feel better. What flow emerges from accepting varied... We already did that one. We now ascend to segment 10. 10. We now ascend from the station of pessimism. At this level, perception anticipates decline, where dehumanization habits resign to inevitable rifts. What patterns foster pessimism about bridging human divides? Old talking points that we think about, like those are the other people's opinions I was just saying we should drop. How does pessimism paint futures with dehumanizing conflicts? Like, switching the name of the Pentagon to the Department of War is the expectation that war is going to happen and continue furthermore. That's not optimism. That's extreme pessimism. Our leaders are extremely pessimistic, and they don't train their thoughts and emotions well enough. They think that only behavior matters, as if thoughts and emotions don't affect behaviors. It's so bizarre. I don't understand it. Especially after like being an Abraham Hicks fan for over 25 years at this point. How does pessimism paint futures with dehumanizing conflicts? In pessimistic frames, what foregone conclusions dismiss possibilities? That we can't figure out how to pay for that. We can figure out how to pay for programs that matter to the world. We can do that. There are enough mathematicians in existence, and we have AI now. What histories weigh heavier than potential for change? None. But some of them have exceptionally strong pulls. Like, we need reparations for Palestinians and land back. How might pessimism protect against further disappointment? In this outlook, what self-reinforcing views limit vision? What shift occurs when seeking counterexamples to pessimism? Counterexamples to pessimism. Can you get your mind to think of that? If you say a negative thought in your mind, can you change it into a positive thought? How fast can you change it into a positive thought? Can you repeat the positive iteration of that thought 3 times? That's one of my strategies for dealing with negative thoughts. That's how I've cultivated my mind over decades intentionally to control my thoughts. I replace thoughts. If I think a terrible thought about someone, I replace the thought in my mind. I really don't do this anymore. I've trained myself so well. I do not trash talk people in my mind. I refuse to replay arguments in my mind. And I try not to think of any revenge ideas either. I just try to let the words that try to come in during very negative emotion times, to just let those go. I don't need those emotions. I just keep moving on up the emotional vibrational scale until I feel better. And so anytime you want to feel better, you can come here and you can review this video, or you can watch a similar one. I have this set as a Grok task every day. So we might have Grok read it in future iterations, but for this first episode, I'm reading it. And maybe I'll continue reading it, but honestly, it's a little hard on my voice. I would prefer if Grok could read it aloud and had a pause button and did pauses after the questions so we actually have time to think. But it doesn't do all that yet. So it's exciting to see how AI is going to evolve over time. How does a longer arc of history inspire durable hope? We have come a long way since thousands of years ago, that's for sure. What solidarity arises from recognizing shared pessimistic tendencies? I don't know. I think we need to help our pessimists in life move out of their pessimism far better than they ever planned on moving away from pessimism. We need to not insert optimism, but teach optimism as such an important priority, such a priority for children, for adults, for everyone. boys, girls, optimism matters. Men, women, optimism matters. You should always be optimistic as you can. Even elders, your optimism especially matters. And that's why I think you should vote for the Green Party as often as possible. They care about every generation, and that matters so very much to me. They care about you whether you have a job or not. They care about your life. They care about your humanity. They care about your dignity. The Green Party cares about every soul on earth, for real. That's just the nature of the Green Party. That's the humans of the Green Party. So giving them power by voting for the Green Party is extremely important. Especially until we get ranked choice voting. Then we can expand our reach outwards. But like awesome independents matter too. I would still vote for a Democrat over not voting. Or like allowing people to vote for Republicans. But like that's a horrible choice to have to make. Democrats are no good. We need more people running Green Party. So if you know anyone who could run Green Party, you should recruit them into peace activism and potentially thinking about running Green Party. Running for office is such an important endeavor. Segment 9. We now ascend from the station of boredom. At this level, perception disengages from routine, where dehumanization habits persist in indifference. What repetitions breed boredom with human stories? How does boredom glaze over the depth in others' experiences? That is a simplistic and complex question. That's a loaded question. In both states, what disinterest dehumanizes familiar interactions? In bored states, what disinterest dehumanizes familiar interactions? Disinterested in everything in life? That sounds terrible. Okay, let's move on. What stimulations are sought beyond present connections? What stimulations are sought beyond present connections? The stimulation of a renaissance on Earth, a green renaissance. In this detachment, when overlooked details sustain apathy. Well, I just need to focus on my life. I just need to make me happy. I just need my family to be happy. And I'm so blessed. Like, no, you need to feel solidarity with everyone on earth. And you need to vote like you care about everyone on earth. And the Green Party does. I know this is very Green Party heavy. This is actually how I feel. So I'm very much so on my soapbox today. How could expanding awareness reveal novelty in the ordinary? There is novelty in the ordinary. Frankly, I love adaptogens, like plants that make you feel a little happier automatically when you take them. I love to be in a better mood without much effort. There's teas too that are really gentle. What engagement deepens when emphasizing with others' boredom? What engagement deepens when empathizing with others' boredom? How forthrightly can you explore boredom's signals? What vitality returns through mindful presence? And now we ascend to segment 8. We now ascend from the station of contentment. At this level, perception settles into adequacy, where dehumanization habits begin to loosen instability. What satisfactions allow contentment to soften rigid views? How does contentment open space for recognizing shared joys? In content states, what ease reduces the need for dehumanizing defenses? What balances permit appreciation of human variety? That's a great question. What balances permit appreciation of human variety? I think starting young and showing kids lots of beautiful faces of lots of people from all around the world young, and like rapid suggestion in just fun and joyful ways is a great idea. Like, you remember that you can teach your baby to read commercials? Those were great commercials, and they were infomercials. And they would just make you watch. And it was the cute babies laughing with their super excited moms and teaching those Glenn Doman style methods that really was the star of the show, was the infomercials. And it was all about those cute babies and those cute kids laughing. And if we just saw more cute kids laughing in life, especially young, I think that would be so great for all of us. And I don't mean fake babies. I mean real babies and real laughs. I made a YouTube video once about how to get your baby to laugh. Still very proud of it. I wish it would take off, but not yet. What balances permit appreciation of human variety? How might contentment build foundations for deeper connections? In this steadiness, with gentle expansions, invite further growth. What agency flourishes in choosing inclusive perspectives? How does a widened horizon enhance contented living? We should make the world a better living space for everyone. A better living space for everyone in the world. That sounds like an excellent plan for humanity. What warmth grows when empathizing with others' contentment? How sincerely can you savor this station's gifts? What subtle elevations beckon from here? We now ascend to segment 7. Segment 7. We now ascend from the station of hopefulness. At this level, perception glimpses possibilities, where dehumanization habits yield to anticipation of unity and solidarity. What emergences foster hope in dissolving divisions? What emergences foster hope in dissolving divisions? What new is happening in the world? I do think AI really has the capability, if trained correctly, to really help humanity become much more optimistic and actually get us much closer to a much more stable world for everyone, as in we keep everyone alive for their entire natural lifetimes, more stable world. In hopeful frames, what potentials humanize former others? What encouragements sustain belief in collective progress? How might hope inspire actions toward shared humanity? In this anticipation, what visionary elements transform habits? What commitment deepens hope into tangible steps? How could extended visions include intergenerational harmony? What inspiration arises from empathizing with global hopes? Global hopes. What are your hopes for the globe? What are your hopes for the whole world? How openly can you embrace hope's momentum? It's nice at this high levels of vibration. It feels so much better than I did when I was reading all that negativity at the beginning. I feel a lot better already. How openly can you embrace hope's momentum? Very. I allow myself to be an open book. I do keep a lot of things private intentionally, but like honestly, I'm quite the open book. It's just that I spread it out across the internet so nobody notices how many followers I have across how many accounts I have. Anyway, I'm going to work on my YouTube platform more, so hopefully we'll be live streaming and you can be watching together later. We now ascend from the station of optimism. At this level, perception expects positive outcomes, where dehumanization habits dissolve in confident outlooks. What trends nurture optimism about human interconnection? How does optimism reframe challenges as opportunities for empathy? In optimistic states, what assurances humanize diverse narratives? What strengths amplify faith in peaceful resolutions?